Using $5 in materials, we're creating a $30 item. Big box stores are selling them for $60, and I've sold 21 of these bad boys for half of that, and I don't even stain them. And all you need are the tools here in front of me. Except if you own a nail gun, that's gonna definitely help. And the miter saw, here's the project, here are the free plans. Take a screenshot, take a picture. When Chicken and I were trying to figure out how to build one of these, and we were watching a few other video builds on it, none of them gave you the dimensions. Because at the end of the day, they're trying to sell you something. For this build, you're going to need at least 3 1x4x8s. You could purchase 1x4x10s, but they just look real goofy in the back of my truck. And you're only going to need about 2 inches of this third board. As you cut down the other 2 into the pieces that we need, your fingers get closer and closer and closer to that saw blade. And I'd rather have a little bit of waste and all my digits than not all of my digits and no waste. Another option would be to take a 1x6x8, rip it down into 1.5 inch slivers, and build the project that way. However, I found that people like the wider stance of a 1x4x8 because it acts as shelving to hold all of their Christmas garbage. One more tip before I get to those high action cutting shots. While your board is a nice long straight piece, now's the time to sand it, kiss the edges, stain it, paint it, instead of doing all that while you have a bunch of tiny pieces or once it's assembled trying to get in all those little nooks and crannies. Measure down 30 inches and make your cut. Every angle cut for this project is at 30 degrees. Not 15, not 22.5, not 31.6. Those are some common rafter sizes. I prefer to angle my saw and put my board like this instead of tilting the saw and cutting it like this. I just feel like this setup, I have more clamping power so that my board doesn't wander off as I make that initial cut. Just gives me a lot cleaner cuts. Then I measure down 15 inches, make my mark, and cut a piece. With our miter cut complicating everything, you might ask yourself, is the outside of it 15 inches or is it the inside that's 15 inches? When I have my board straight, I just measure 15 inches and just make a cut on that line. It doesn't matter if it's on the edge, it's within 1/8 of an inch of how long I need it to be. As long as I cut 4 of these that are the same length, no one's gonna be the wiser. I personally start at 77 inches into my board because it hits the wall. Sure, I could have slid it down to the other end, but then everything's backwards. I'm not dealing with that. Then you're going to measure 6 inches on your board, find out where that lines up with your blade, set up a stop block if you'd like. These cuts are going to be parallel to each other, so once you make your first cut, all you have to do is slide the board down and make another cut. Next, we need to cut 6 at 5 1/4 of an inch. If you set up a stop block, simply just move that stop block down 3/4 of an inch and keep on rolling. And lastly, we need to cut 3 pieces at 12 inches long. One end having that 30-degree angle, one is going to have that 90-degree angle, so it's quite a bit of back and forth. I found that measuring from my miter cut at 3 inches was perfect, but when I was measuring from the butt end, I went to about 3/16 to 3 1/8 inches, just so that way those pieces are perfectly the same length because of the miter. And we're on to assembly. You're gonna take that 30-inch board, you're gonna measure halfway down to 15 inches. And that's on both sides. We're gonna take those 15-inch pieces, 90-degree, 30-degree. We're gonna put glue on the 30-degree. Because all of our glue ups are going to be end grain, I'm going to put some glue on here and let it set up for just a minute or two. By the time I get all of these with glue on them, I could go back to the first one. I'm doing that because end grain is like a little straw. It's gonna suck a whole bunch of glue in, and you're probably gonna have to add a little bit more glue. And you can see this one here, I have a good consistency of glue sitting on the top. This guy, it's drinking it in. I got some dry spots. And what's gonna happen is if I didn't care and I put these together, I'm not gonna have any glue holding it together because this board's absorbed all the glue. Not much is sitting on the face of this board. So you just wanna make sure you got some glue on her. I'm gonna take that 15-inch board, line them up pretty close to the edge of my workbench. With that line right here, I'm gonna lay them just both on the table, which means they're gonna be pretty close to 90. And I'm going to put this edge right to the longer edge of my 15-inch board. I'm using an 18 gauge, 1-inch brad nail. If you'd like to guess how many nails this build's going to take, It's actually quite a few, so best of luck. Guess right now. Not many people are guessing anymore. Come on. You're gonna just kind of shoot about right here. You want it to go into the meat. I don't want it to shoot out the back. I don't want it to not have very good grip. There we go, looking good. These are drying, so I want to get to it. Same thing, and this time I'm going to put it right butted up against this piece here. A lot of times I'm going to shoot this top nail, and I'm going to flip it over and do the other side so it's not so chaotic. Which, if you have it near the edge of your workbench, you can usually slide your nail gun in right here. And here's another pro tip. If you only wanted to build half of the snowflake, because I wanted to set it on, the mantle, countertop, you wanted to put a keyhole slot in the back so they could hang it on the wall so it kind of stuck out. That's pretty cool. I've sold quite a few of those for $20 versus the full snowflake for $30. Some people are like, well, why wouldn't I buy the full one? And some people are like, I really only need the half. It's, different things for different people. Same thing, you know what we're doing. Now we're going to take all of our 6-inch and 5 1/4 inch pieces, and we're going to butt them together like this, so that our 6-inch piece, this part sticks over the top, our 5-inch piece butts up just like that, and we cut this one a little bit shorter to take into account this additional thickness, which makes both of these perfectly aligned. So when I put them in here, they all touch in these corners. We're going to put some glue on the 5/4 inch, one of them. Nail these guys together. I'm just going to do that for all of them real quick. Bang them out. And with our freshly assembled bracing pieces, they just plop in just about right there, just wherever they kind of both touch. No, this is goosey, but it's all right. So a little glue on both of these guys. These, I'm going to nail one in the top. I'm going to do the others when I flip the piece over. You don't want to watch this. Just get them all done. And now we're just going to flip them over and shoot all those nails that I haven't done yet. You ready? All we got left are these guys. I have created one extra one, and guess what? It's my spacer. You're gonna take this board, pop in the spacer, should be 3 inches. Little glue, nail them in place. There are only 2 end grains that I do this gluey let it set up thing to, and that's all of our middle joints because that's a pretty good structural joint. And all of these guys, because they're hanging out on a solo mission outside by themselves, and I don't want them to snap off when they go to put it away for storage. So let them set up, re-glue if you need to. Now I'm just gonna hit all those nails from the opposite side I didn't do. Anyone busted on their nail count yet? Anyone close? How about now? And voila, you've got a finished snowflake. So let's crunch some numbers and see if I really turned a profit or if this whole thing is just a big gaslighting experiment. My 1x4x8, $2.28 each. Those I'm picking up at Menards, if some people are asking. I think it's like a local big box store, but you might have one nearby. $5.70 for the lumber. If you are cutting down that 1x6x8, those are looking at about $6.99 per board. So it's actually cheaper to buy 3 1x4s. And again, people like the little bit wider stance. It's easier to work with. I feel like the glue holds up a little better. This is the way I would build them. I wouldn't build them from a thinner board. You do you. Glue, 11 cents for, how many times I squirted it. Nails, $4.28 for the 1,000, which means that it's 0.00428 per nail I fired out of that gun. Only he knows that number. I'm going to guess 70. That's my official guess. 29 cents for the nails. Electricity. If you take my electricity bill and you divided it by the house square footage to the garage square footage that's in use currently, divided by how many minutes are in a month, because I'm only out here for 20 minutes to build one of these, I'm going to round up to 43 cents. Okay? Looking at $6.53 total to build one of these bad boys. Now I am selling them for $30 minus my $653, $23.47 per build. That's my profit, $23.47. Time, about a third of an hour, 20 minutes. I can start, grab the boards, cut them, be jamming out, get it all done. So 3 per hour takes me to $70.41 per hour to build this project. I know some people have been asking in the other videos, how much do I value your time? That's it right there. I'm comfortable with that number. If the project took me an ungodly amount of time and I'm not turning that much profit out of it, I'm not going to keep building that project. You got to get a feel for it. If you're building something and it takes way too long and it's undervalued, stop building it. Build something that's cheaper, that's selling really good. I don't calculate in a dollar per hour for me. I do if you have a custom build request. That's an automatic $180. Yeah, $180 per hour of me in the shop time. That's factored into that build. It's not a material times 2 situation. It's $180 per hour. So if you wanted one of these custom built for the 20 minutes, that's what you'd be paying for it. Not really, I mean, this is really cheap, so probably wouldn't charge it at that much extra. But you get it, okay? When I file my business taxes, I don't insert how much I get for wages because it's just me out here in the garage. So all of it is mine. All right, everyone's pretty much gone out of the video. We all know this. Chicken, give them a goodbye. Notice when I was gluing those up, you just saw the high action nail shots. I didn't do that part of the video. I was like, that's something I hate in videos.